Hello and welcome to Smoke Joe Gamer on Twitch.tv and YouTube and Mastodon and Discord. I'm all over the place, I swear. So, today, this is another edition of Holiday Buying Guide 2023. It's not actually 2023 anymore, but this is still something that I wanted to cover. This is the Steam Deck OLED model, OLED, however you want to say it. I won't judge you. So, here we go. Hopefully everything's coming through here. There's some neat stuff here. Yeah, I recorded some footage back when this came out in November or December, and I just wasn't happy with it. I was doing some editing, and I thought, no, let's just scrap it and let's just try again, and I'll just do a live stream, and whatever happens, happens. So hopefully there won't be any technical issues here. Everything appears to be working fine. So the point is, I'm going to talk about the deck OLED, the differences from the regular model, and then I'm just going to show you some games while I'm doing that to give you a sense of the benchmarks and how things actually run here. And I've got a whole bunch of games I can try out so you can see how they run. Now, they may not look great because I'm going through an HDMI to USB-C cable into a capture card, but they're still going to just be running at about 720p, and we're going to see what the frame rate is. So again, they may not look good blowing up on a big screen, but I'm telling you, on this little 7-inch screen here, they look pretty damn good to me. So let's get this show on the road. Alright, cool. And then I can answer any questions that people have. If they want to type it in chat, I'll respond. That's fine. So, what am I going to show you first? So yeah, let me go into the settings here just so you can see what I'm working with here. I mean, everything's up to date as far as I know. And you can see I currently have it outputting at 1080p at 60, but once I get into a game, it's going to cap it at 720. I think that's a limitation of the wire that I'm using. I didn't invest in a deck because I already have like my computer connected to my TV, so there's no real benefit to doing that. Yeah, I didn't get a dock. So, and I've got my, DualSense controller synced up with it right now. So it's mostly going to be just games that are built into it, but I may also show you just a little bit of emulation and stuff. Yeah, and so you can see I have a whole bunch of games and apps on here. So this doesn't even count all of the ROMs and stuff. So there you have it. Go back here. So you got some bigger AAA titles up here. These are, newer games that I can test out for you. And then I've got these older games that actually run pretty well. And then this system is just really good with some indie games and like JRPGs that aren't really graphically intensive. So there's plenty of games that run better on here than they do on the Switch, I think. Although obviously not as well as they would run on PS5, Series X, and all that. But this thing has similar power level to like the original PS4 and Xbox One models, I would say. So if you already have a deck and you're thinking about getting the better model, or if you don't have anything and you're just trying to get some information, then that's why I'm doing this. So, yeah, these are all the games I actually have installed. Now, so if I go here, if I turn all these filters off, you can see I've got 547 games. So of that, there's 370 that are considered playable, and then of those, 149 have the green check mark, and they're considered great on deck. So I haven't tried every game, and there's some really big games that I didn't want to download onto here, like Baldur's Gate 3, for instance, is just too big. Final Fantasy 15 is just too damn big. So let's just get right into it. So I'm going to load up Diablo 4 first so you can see how this runs. So, as you may have guessed, the main difference from the original model to this one. Hang on. Oh, that's loud. Okay, let me turn that down. Okay. Good. I just wanted to turn that down so you can hear me talking. Oh, just log in already. Jesus, this shouldn't even be online. Okay. So here we go. So as I stated before, I mean, things may look a little pixelated here because you're taking a 720p image and blowing it up onto a much bigger screen here and running it through a wire and a capture card and all that. But you know, these games will obviously look a lot better on the screen itself, which would be difficult to really show you and to get across, you know. So I got the color scheme on OBS, I got it as close to what the HDR OLED colors would look like. Did the best I could. But you can see this is running at 60 frames per second right now. Now if I hit this button here, I should be able to let's see. Okay, yeah, let me show you. So yeah, you can see the frame rate in the upper left corner, but I'm going to go ahead and just give you the full performance overlay. I disabled the frame limit so it'll go as high as it goes. And yeah, you can get variable refresh rate if your dock or wire supports that, and I don't know if it's allowing HDR right now because it's connected to a bunch of devices that do not support HDR. So the main difference is you have an OLED screen, so colors are more vibrant. The screen is slightly bigger. We're talking 0.4 inches, but that just means there's less bezels around the edges. Oh, look, and I can still use touch controls even when I'm... Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so that's what's good about it. It extends a little further on the unit itself. It is about 30 grams lighter, and that is noticeable. One of the gripes I had with the Steam Deck is that it's very heavy, very bulky. This new model is just a little bit lighter, but you still have the option to just sync up a controller, and if you get a stand or a dock for it, then you're good. You don't even have to hold it at all. So the buttons and stuff are fine. I think the unit is a little bit too wide, and that's because of the extra touchpads that they threw on here. But the touchpads make it so that you can play mouse and keyboard games. It's higher compatibility, but it just changes the overall size and shape of the unit. Now this also has a 90 hertz refresh rate, which is awesome. It's not 120, but 90 is still better than 60, especially for games that can do it. Right now I'm capped at 60 hertz, unfortunately. Oh, and HDR is turned on. Okay. So then if I go over, oops, let's hope it doesn't crash, right? Yeah, so just to show you the settings I'm working with here. So I can turn, yeah. So I don't know how the HDR looks on your end, but that's another thing you got to experiment with, and that's no different from other consoles. You know, depending on the game, you may want to try turning HDR on or off and just see what kind of results you get. And then if I turn off VSync, it'll try to go above that. Okay. And then I did turn on FSR in quality mode, and then for the most part, I think these are the default settings that it picked. So this is the game running at FSR2 quality mode. And yeah, you can see it's fluctuating, but it is capable of 60 FPS in this game, which is nice. So let me, what was I doing? Oh, I gotta go north. Okay. So I'm just gonna play this for a couple of minutes, and this is how this stream is gonna go. I'm just gonna jump around between different games. That's why I just picked games and demos as the category. And I've been experimenting with different builds with the Rogue. Right now I'm doing a ranged build. Yeah. So. But I also have the call traps in case enemies, you know, in case they get too close, I can throw those down and they get stuck. So, oh, a chest. So yeah, you can see this game runs pretty fine on these settings. Oh, no. Alright. So this is Diablo 4 with the Rogue, and I'm still trying to beat the game before the end of the season, but don't know if that's going to work. Isn't it nice when you can just take them all out in one shot like that? Cool. Yeah, so this is a neat game. So if you look through the other videos, I did cover this game as part of, Holiday Buying Guide, so to get a full review of the game itself, you'll just have to watch that other video. But the main thing is, this is kind of a mix between Diablo 2 and 3 in a good way so far. I mean, there's things I like, things I don't like, but I like that I have actual, customization now with the skill points. Even if I don't have stat points, even if the game is still very gear-based, you can see you have all this, and you can respec anytime. It costs gold, but you can respec whenever you want, pretty much. It gets a little more expensive as you get to higher levels and stuff. But this is just kind of the build I'm working with right now. I'm just doing a ranged build. Because I was doing a melee build, I kept dying. Now, if I just play around with some of these other settings a little bit, so what happens if I just turn off FSR completely? And then, obviously, on my PC, I can do DLSS, but on here, this is AMD-based hardware, so... Oh, look how... oh, that's very sharp. Okay, I made it too sharp. Hang on. But the purpose here is more so benchmarking as opposed to, showing you how good things look. So... Now it looks a little too blurry. See, you really got to play around with the settings, but on the screen itself, it's going to look better. And now if I, actually let me turn that back on. So then, just going to put it on high settings real quick to see what happens. I pressed the Y button. Okay, it did it. Alright, so this is high settings. Oh, okay. Yeah, so unfortunately, if you have an HDR device connected to a screen that's not HDR capable and you turn HDR on, it can just look a little weird. But I can assure you it looks great on the actual screen. And I didn't buy a dock yet because I wouldn't get much use out of it. I didn't want to buy it just for the sake of this video here. Seems like kind of a waste of money. Although I am in the market for a dock that could also do Chromebook and iPhone 15, so I gotta research that. But this is Diablo 4. I currently have this running on high settings, and you can see this is 720p. The unit itself is 1280 by 800, which is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. I can summon a clone as my ultimate ability, which is cool. So the only time this game really bugs me is when I'm fighting, like, elite enemies. Because I'm on World Tier 2, because World Tier 1 is too easy. On here, regular enemies go down pretty quick, but then elite enemies and bosses are a real pain in the ass in this game, let me tell you. But there you go. So this is Diablo 4 running on high settings on Steam Deck OLED. This game can run on a toaster. And I think that was by design, and I don't disagree with that design philosophy, I guess. You want everybody be able to play. Let's go to Ultra, see what happens. And if the battery starts to run out, then I'm going to have to stop the stream, unfortunately. But yeah. So I just put this on Ultra settings, and you can see it's stuttering a bit. But honestly, it's running a lot higher than I expected it to. So, but you can see a little bit of stuttering and hitching here and there, maybe. But otherwise, it's pretty damn good. All right. So let's quit out of that. And oh yeah, you got to do this. The thing is that after, how many, like 2 years or so of firmware updates and whatnot, the system definitely doesn't crash as much as it used to, and games seem to load faster. The LCD model, I had the 64 gigabyte, and that wasn't great, and I had the micro SD card, and I know sometimes games would take a long time to install or load. So going to the 512 gigabyte SSD, noticeable difference with load times. This unit also supports Wi-Fi 6, so you will get faster download speeds as long as you have a router and modem and stuff that support that. So here's Resident Evil 4 Remake. This is a game I didn't actually cover yet as part of Holiday Buying Guide, but I did stream it a bunch of times, and this is just a great game. So yeah, I figured this is also a good opportunity to just show you some of the games that maybe I didn't cover during December. So let's see how this goes. Alright, see, this looks fine. Alright, that's cool. I'm on New Game Plus, by the way, or second playthrough, I guess you would just say. So the SSD doesn't always provide faster load times, but a good example is Remnant 2. That game on an SSD card took forever to install and to update. Every time the game had to patch, I wanted to rip my hair out, what's left of my hair. So the SSD really comes in handy for games like Remnant 2 that are 70 gigabytes, and most of the data is just one big file, and they just take freaking forever to, Gotcha. Ah, I parried successfully. Yeah, so you can see this is running pretty well. And what's good about the 90 hertz is that if you can get it to run at let's say 45 FPS, then that's going to look better than 30 FPS on a 60 hertz, you know what I mean? So you can still enable VSync and stuff like that. Or you can also turn off VSync and let it run at uncapped frame rate, whatever you want to do. It's all up to you. So I'm going to turn HDR off real quick because I don't know, it's just not looking that good to me right now. Yep, 1280 by 720, 60 hertz variable, full screen. No, you can't do ray tracing on Steam Deck. Even if it lets you turn it on, don't turn it on. And then I do have this running with FSR quality, and it's mostly high settings. Yeah, so volumetric lighting, volumetric fog. I noticed on my old 6600 XT graphics card that those features just don't run too great on lower end AMD hardware. Yeah, and I turn off motion blur because I do. And then this other stuff I didn't realize it had turned off. So maybe I'll back out and turn some of that stuff back on. But But see, yeah, I picked up some extra frames, I think, just from turning off that volumetric lighting. So any kind of volumetric lighting or fog, you may want to turn off if you're trying to boost your frame rates. So, yeah, I made him look really emo. You know, I thought that was cool. He looks like a member of My Chemical Romance or something, right? Ah! Motherfucker. I'm sorry. Oh, that's why they put that there. Alright, you know what? That's fine. So you've seen how this runs. But I want to go back to the title screen so I can change some of those other settings. Let's see here. It looks like I'm only dealing with 6 gigabytes of VRAM, unfortunately. Depth of field is on. Yeah, so no motion blur. Oh, doesn't really increase processing load too much either. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that uses too much processing power. We're not going to turn that on. And if I were to just use regular, but see, this doesn't show that much of an increase in. And then yeah, all this like volumetric stuff, just you might want to just turn it all off. And there you go. I'm using less VRAM just by turning that down, and then I could probably turn that up a little bit too. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm just going to do, yeah, let me jump into separate ways because I haven't finished this yet. So hopefully you can hear everything okay. I'm sure people will let me know if they can't. I started early today so I can finish early, but load times aren't too bad. Actually, this might be on the micro SD card now that I'm thinking about it. I'll double check, but I have noticed slightly better, you know, load times and stuff from the SSD as expected. So I increased some settings, as you saw, and now I'm only getting about 30 FPS, unfortunately. But when you consider that this game came out in 2023, you consider how good it looks, you know, on a high-end system. But the goal here is just to prove that, yes, Steam Deck can play AAA titles from 2023. They may not be 60 FPS, they may not be high or ultra settings, but they are playable. And when you consider that some of these games are not playable on Switch at all, you know, but doing a comparison to Switch is not really fair, though, right? Because that's an older console. I'm really excited to see what Nintendo comes up with next, if the rumors of a Switch 2 are correct. So where does the game want me to go? I don't know, but here you go. So I don't like 30 FPS that much, but it's tolerable on weaker hardware. You know, you just got to temper your expectations, that's all. Oh, no. Damn you. Damn parasites. I thought I killed all these people already. Yeah, this is not... this is not great. Okay. Hang on. The frame rate drops every time I try to aim. That's awful. I'm not putting FSR2, like, anything below quality just doesn't look good at all. So, mid shadows. But something I turned on made it upset. Maybe it's the rain quality. I don't know. I guess I can put both of those on low. Maybe turn off the dismemberment. That might be a good idea. Alright. Alright, yeah, I turned on something that it didn't like, I guess, but... So, just goes to show you, though, like, don't put the settings too high, because then your games are not going to be playable. Oh boy, okay. That's enough of this. I love this game, but... really not the best example of Steam Deck capabilities, unfortunately. Yeah, and then here's another thing is that you can turn on different versions of Proton if you don't like whatever the default is. Okay, so this is on the micro SD card. That's why the load times were a little slower, but they still weren't bad, you know? So there you go. There's some Diablo 4, so there's some Resident Evil 4. Street Fighter 6 I covered already, so I'll just play this real quick, and because this actually runs pretty well. I'm able to play this with friends. Although this is a game where, like a lot of fighting games, I would rather connect an external controller than try to use the built-in stuff. You know, the bulky form factor is kind of problematic for fighting games where you want to use like the D-pad, and then you got to hit the triggers at different times. So I have a 6-button Genesis USB controller that I can plug in there with an adapter, and it takes it no problem. Actually, I'm just going to move my face a little bit so you'll be able to see how much battery life. But there's actually a noticeably better battery life on this newer model too. So I was looking at the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go. Those can both do 1080p. They can both do 120 hertz. They tend to be a little more expensive unless you can get them on sale. But here's the thing. For me, the Legion Go was immediately a no-go because it's bigger and heavier than the deck. And it's like, I don't want that. Although it's also similar to a Switch in that you can remove the controllers and there is a kickstand on the back of it. So it does seem like a neat device, and it is more powerful than this one, but it's also more expensive. And then the ROG Ally, I guess, gets excellent performance when plugged in, but most of the benchmarks I watched, they were dropping it to 720p anyways to conserve battery life. So I'm just going to go over here real quick. Oh, and first let me just show you the settings, of course. So I go over to my display settings here. Oh, no, graphic. Okay. So yeah, 1280 by 720. I think I have it set to whatever the default is, but an input delay reduction you always want, even though it uses a little more processing power. So I'm just going to go and do just a regular versus match here so you can see it. And the thing is, FSR is available as like a system-wide feature that you can turn on, but I typically don't because it looks like ass. All right, it's Cammy's birthday. Let's play as Cammy. Sure, why not? So I'm now in the process of still trying to complete World Tour mode. I just picked random. Yeah, still trying to beat World Tour mode, and then I found out that if you get your bond level up to 100 with any of the characters, then you get their second costume, which in most cases is just the same as their original Street Fighter 2 costume. And this is another game that I covered as part of Holiday Buying Guide. So you can find that video on YouTube. And I love this game. I think this is one of the better Street Fighter games, definitely. It'd be nice if I was actually, like, good at these games, right? Yeah, so there you go. So it looks like it's maintaining 60 this whole time, which is nice. So this is a game that you don't have to put on, like, the lowest settings. It's like, yeah, I can do that too, Marisa. Don't. Ow. Oof. She got me. Ow. Oh, I forgot she could do that. Oh boy. Yeah, I haven't played this in a while. Not since I did that other video. And Cammy's not one of my main characters, and Marisa hits hard, so there are reasons why I'm struggling right now. Ah, I didn't mean to do that. She has armor. Ow. Alright. Level 4 opponents typically don't block that much, so there you go. Kick her fucking head off. There you go. So the only thing is in World Tour mode, I get major frame rate drops, mainly because it's open world. But I notice on my good computer, and I also get low frame rate in that mode sometimes. Like, it just drops because it's just rendering a lot of stuff. So, so yeah, I probably showed this in the other video, but this is what I was talking about. I got Ken's up to level 100 in World Tour mode, so then I got his alternate costume. Let's do another fight here, and then I'll move on to another game. Let's just see here. Yeah, so battery life is about as good as you can expect. And what's great about Steam Deck, though, is that it uses Steam OS. So, you know, it's a Linux-based system. You can go over to a Linux desktop if you want, but for the most part, you can stay in game mode all the time. You know, if you want to just use this as a game system, you know, it's a game system first and a computer second. Whereas the other two devices I mentioned, you know, they use Windows, but it's like every single review I read just complains about the fact that Windows just kind of sucks on portable consoles. You know. Nice. So Ken is like top tier in this game, let me tell you. Ken's been my main for years. But there's times where he felt really weak and I would lose a lot of matches and stuff. Oh, it shows the battery life right on the left there. I didn't realize that. So 55% right now. All right, that's not too terrible. And it wasn't at a full charge to start with. I just like doing that EX move there. Yeah. Not too far away. Yeah, so this game, like, you can get up to 120 FPS, like, when you're in the open world, in World Tour mode, or on the menus and stuff, but the actual matches are capped at 60 no matter what you do, which I guess makes sense. So there you go. That's Street Fighter 6 on Steam Deck OLED. Yep. So I go over here, and yeah, it's fine. And I disable the frame limit. And then so here's Marvel's Midnight Suns. This came out end of 2022. So I was just playing this the other day. My brother got it for me. We'll see how long it takes. Yeah, this should be running off the SSD. It's only my second time loading it, but sometimes you do find yourself looking at loading screens a lot on here. But like all I hear about the ROG Ally, even now, is just everybody complaining about Windows and complaining about trying to just navigate through it. It's like it sounds like a real hassle just to get into a game on those systems. Whereas on here, you go right into game mode and it's all there. Now, obviously, if you don't use Steam, you don't like Steam, then you may not want this then. You know, you can go over to desktop mode and there's ways to install like Epic Games and GOG.com and Amazon Prime games through there. It's called Heroic Launcher. So there are apps that'll let you go beyond, you know, what Steam normally offers. But if most of your games are on Epic Games Store or the Windows Store, then get the ROG Ally. You know. But if you're a Steam user like me and you've been using Steam for years and that's your preferred platform, then this thing is perfect for you. Now, every game I buy is playable on PC and Deck, and it's got cloud saves. So one thing that gets frustrating with the Deck, though, is there are games that do not support cloud saves, and you know, you load it up on here and it wants you to start over. You can manually go into both file systems. You know, you can go on your computer and transfer the save files over, but then you got to keep going back and forth, and it can be a real pain. So let me just load this up. So I can tell you that Batman Arkham Knight is fully Deck verified. It runs fine, but it's still not a very good game in my opinion. So I uninstalled it. Oh, this looks awful. Oh no. Oh, this looks terrible. Holy crap. So in between battles, you have this nice hub area to explore, and you can build up relationships similar to like a Fire Emblem or Persona game. But oh man, this is actually not running well. What are the settings? 1280 by. All right, well, hang on. First off, let's just knock that down. No resolution scaling. Okay. Oh, epics. Oh, jeez. Hold on. I don't think anything should be set to epic on here. That doesn't seem like a good idea. If not, oh, okay. Depth of field, yeah. So I didn't really mess with the settings at all in here, but I'm just gonna lower those two settings and see what that looks like. So, no, but this is a pretty nice looking game, and it's fully playable. So this part of the game will probably have lower frame rate than the actual battles, you know, because those take place in smaller areas and there's less stuff to render. But this game is fully playable on Deck, I'm telling you. And it looks just fine on the screen. So.
Hey, for what it's worth, I think you did okay. You got some decent hang to it. Even given you were wearing, what, 70, 80 pounds of chainmail? On the Stark scale of reckless and daring heroics, I give it a solid 6 out of 10. Don't worry, you'll get there. With a little help.
Thanks, you arrogant prick.
Oh, no problem. Already got a few ideas cooking. You're not allergic to my medic pollen. You know what? Never mind. I spoiled the surprise. I couldn't help it over here. Auntie Caretaker over there telling me to get some rest. That sounds like a
There you go. So you social link go.
Functional. Solid construction. Almost cozy. Love the antique furnishings. Early Fisto collection. Full transparency, Hunter. There's another reason I asked to join you. Project Terror is this entire facility. Stopped here before while you were out. Wanted to surprise you with a nice little housewarming present. Was all set to write you a lovely welcome note, but I'm fairly certain that wasn't very.
I do not have a
Even better.
Relax, Tony. I simply just use an ink derived from the spider lily flower. Red spider lily flowers.
Of course,
So in this game, you play as this kind of generic protagonist, but then you have some of your favorite Marvel heroes popping up.
haha, another zinger. And we'll just leave it at that. Well, I suppose I should leave before whatever monstrosity that is most definitely hiding under your bed jumps out, rips my face off, and then proceeds to feast on my soul.
May your sleep be filled with pleasant dreams, Tony.
Right back at you. Oh, and if you hear the shrieking in the room, please ignore it. It's just me. In my room.
Okay. Oh, you got me a present. Cool.
Hi, I'm Tony Stark. But if you're hearing this message, you already know that. When I'm not saving the world, I solve the world's problems with technological means.
Yeah.
One your home. I call it the Smoke, a secure information and communication device built only for superheroes.
Okay.
It does all the usual.
No tutorials.
Pictures,
Just want to play the game.
and calls for service.
Thank you.
But it also comes with access to Superlink, a private social network exclusively.
Yeah, I don't care. Don't care.
You might ask, Tony, aren't you just repurposing a failed product for
Alright, I guess it wants me to buy something.
I'll revoke access and let everyone else know you're in charge. I call it the Wonder Wheel.
Sure. It wants me to buy something here. Fine. Just do it. Great job. Alright. I still have to do a tutorial? Closet tutorial? What? Fine. No, I'm good. Now what? Whatever. Well, there you go. You get an idea of how this runs. I don't really feel like doing all this story and tutorial crap right now. There you go. This game is deck verified for a reason. Because it does what deck verified means it'll run it. And again, you may not be able to run on high settings, you may not get 60 FPS, but for the most part, it's correct. Remnant 2 is not supported, but it is fully playable. It's just that even on the lowest settings, you're not getting 60 FPS. So let me run this game real quick, because this will show you where it kind of shines. The Steam Deck does a great job with, like, obviously, like, old PS3, Xbox 360 games that never got any kind of updates. Those run and look just fine on here. And then also PS4 and Xbox One games that didn't get enhanced for Pro or X or whatever. And of course you can run indie games, and as for emulation, I've tested most consoles at this point. It can run Wii U games, which is fine. It can do PS2, it can do GameCube. So emulation's pretty good. I'll show you a little bit of that if the battery doesn't die. But yeah, so I wanted to load this up because this game is like, this is ultra settings in this game. I turn off motion blur because I don't like it, and I turn off chromatic aberration, but everything's maxed out right now, is my point. So right, so this is a PS4, Xbox One game that never got enhanced for the newer models. You can actually play this on Switch now, too. But is Switch going to give you over 100 FPS? No. Of course, the game looks a little pixelated, you know, on this setup here, but again, when you're looking at the 7-inch screen, you're not gonna notice all the jaggies as much. But yeah, look at this. So this is at uncapped frame rate. Look how high it's getting. Like this, it's an older game, but again, fully playable. This is a AAA title, published by Sega. I actually covered this during my Halo Stream event. If you want to check that out. I'm at the point where the alien has shown up, the xenomorph, and it could pop out at any time and murder me. So I have to be careful. But I also got me a pistol. So this is like a kind of a stealth-focused survival horror game. You play as Ripley's daughter. So I think it takes place between the first and second movies, maybe. Although I never watched the second or third movie. I watched the original, and then I watched Prometheus, and then I think I watched a little bit of Alien Covenant, but. All right, let's go in here, sure. Oh, look at that. Gimme. Item maxed. Okay. Yeah, there's crafting in this game too. Oh, I just went in a circle. Alright. So, there you have it. This is Alien Isolation running on Steam Deck, and you can see it's getting very high frame rate on ultra settings. Yeah, frame rate drop when you blow up a barrel, see? And there's fire and smoke on the screen, but still stayed above 60, and that's to be expected here. Device invalid, sure. There you go. That's a nice view, huh? What? Just random debris floating around. Oh, okay. Neato. Alright, cool. You get the gist of it. Now, when I was trying to record some footage, I was trying to do remote play, and it just had all kinds of technical issues, so I'm not really going to try to repeat that right now. I don't think. Needless to say, it works fine. It works about as well as you can expect remote play to work. But it can be a little glitchy here and there. So, you know, there's a lot of neat games you can play on here. And then, you know, of course, here's some games I own that aren't installed. But I can confirm Blasphemous 1 and 2 run great. Arkham Knight is deck verified, but it's still not a great game, in my opinion. So these are all the games that are considered playable from my collection. Actually, I'm going to go over here, yeah. So if a game is untested or unsupported, that doesn't automatically mean it won't work. You can still try it. And if you search through YouTube, there's plenty of unsupported games that run just fine. You may have to get a special version of Proton. But, you know, here's just plenty of games from my collection that work. Now, like Cyberpunk is considered fully deck verified, and yeah, it works, but I was really disappointed with the frame rate in that game. I say just play that on Series X or PS5 if you can, unless you've got like an RTX graphics card like I do. And Elden Ring is another game that runs just fine on here. You may want to lower settings to get higher frame rate, but I mean, Skyrim runs fine because of course it does. It's Skyrim, why wouldn't it? Skyrim runs on everything. But you know, these kind of JRPGs that aren't as graphically intensive, these kind of games run fine. Streets of Rage 4 runs good. Let me load that up real quick. And so what I think is really cool about the Steam Deck is that a person who doesn't even care about video games could get one of these and just switch over to desktop mode and just use it as a portable computer. So if you have experience with Linux, you know, you're going to be able to do all sorts of cool things over on desktop mode, you know. So this has the same hardware as the original model. It's still, I think, a quad-core processor. It's the same amount of RAM, but it's a slightly faster speed. So it is DDR5 RAM, running at a much higher, slightly higher frequency. So some games will have higher frame rate than the old model, like we're talking a couple frames. So I'm just going over to video settings here. Oh, advanced options, that's what I want. So yeah, everything's on Ultra right now, with no VSync turned on. Oh, Mania Plus is absolutely absurd. Don't play Mania Plus. And I played this originally on Game Pass on Xbox, so I didn't unlock everything in this version, but you can see you know, you get these other characters from past games. I play as Cherry mostly because she's the only one who can run. But now with the DLC, you can play as these three, which is nice. And now there's different color palettes for each character. All right. And I did do a video just like this when the original, when I got the original Steam Deck, let's put it that way, which was towards the end of 2022. So, you know, obviously I liked it enough to want to get the next model. And my brother bought my old one, so that helped mitigate the cost. Basically, this was my Christmas gift to myself, but I bought it back in November. Of course. Oops. Yeah. He's fun to play as. But see, like, no frame rate drops. This game runs at 60 frames per second. As expected, but it's still a great looking game. There's just a really awesome art style here. And of course, if you played Streets of Rage 1 through 3 on Genesis as a kid like I did, then this is just great. And supposedly there's going to be another one. Sega had announced that they were going to try to revive a bunch of old franchises. You can see the trailer that they aired during the Game Awards, I think. And of course, personally, I think that most of the Steam Awards this year were a complete travesty, but I kind of feel that way about every awards show at this point. I personally just never liked Red Dead Redemption 2. And I don't know why that got labor of love. I guess a lot of people like the online modes or something. Who knows? Couldn't tell you. I guess I wasn't the target audience, I don't know. Oh yeah, he doesn't use weapons, that's right. Oh. Gee, I can't very well activate the bonus stage if he won't pick up the taser. Unless he can just go right in. No. Huh. Oh well. So if you play as him, you can't do the bonus stages. Got it. Or maybe there's a secret to it that I just never found out because I don't play as him that much. Yeah, this game, like, I could play this game all day, let me tell you. I played through this game a lot on Xbox. Then when it left Game Pass, I bought it on Steam at, like, a real steep discount. And here I am still playing it, so, yeah, it's just a fun game. And there's a survival mode as part of the DLC. There we go. See if I can just beat this boss here, and then I'll move on to another game. Oh yeah, it's Estelle. So she's now playable if you buy the DLC. And you should buy the DLC because it's freaking awesome. And I know there's people who can just do one endless combo in every stage in the highest difficulty, but that's not me. I respect those people, but I can't do that. It's like I love video games, but I do have other hobbies. You probably see my guitars in the background in my videos. You know, I do some writing sometimes too. So, if video games were my only hobby, yeah, I'm sure I'd be better at them. I'm also 38 years old now, so brain doesn't work as good as it used to. No, the reflexes aren't quite there, and I have to wear glasses now because my eyesight's getting worse. Just a regular guy who likes to play games, that's all. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, he's got some good combos, huh? Wow, and he does all these cool air combos. Alright. Yeah, Shiva was originally, you fight him towards the end of Streets of Rage 2. Actually, he's the second to last boss, I believe. Oh, just unlocked Streets of Rage 2 Axel. Cool. And then you fight Shiva again towards the beginning of Streets of Rage 3. I think he's like the first boss. So he's in this one, but he's in no way involved with the crime syndicate this time around. Mr. X's two children. Oh, that's cool. He can do some really cool combos, huh? Alright. Yeah, this game rocks. Alright. There you go, there's Streets of Rage 4. Sonic Mania runs great, and I tell you, the Sonic Mania really looks great on the OLED screen. So, you know, colorful games are good on there. They really make the colors pop. And then the HDR creates a more realistic, like, lighting effects and stuff. So Signalis and Tunic, these were probably two of my favorite games from 2022. I played them on Game Pass, but I still wanted to buy them. And both of these games run fine, of course. And then, you know, indie games like Demon's Till, Undermine. Yeah, you'll notice in this list, there's a lot of games that were formerly on Game Pass. And then I ended up buying them on Steam when they got taken off. And you might be wondering how the controls map to mouse and keyboard games. Well, I can tell you, it all depends on the game, but like Dwarf Romantic, that's a game where they did a great job of mapping everything to the controller. I personally don't like to play mouse and keyboard games on here. I don't like the touchpads too much. But then here you have like Brutal Legend. This was a PS3, Xbox 360 game. Later got ported to PC with some enhancements, but runs great on here. Wonderful 101 was a Wii U game. Got ported to other platforms. Runs great on here. Yep, Star Ocean, Second Story R is great, and then like Persona 4 Golden. Here's a good. Yeah, this is absolutely deck verified. Let me load this up because this is one of my favorite games ever. So of course I want to show you this game. This was originally a PS2 game, then it was ported to the Vita. Remember the Vita? And then it got ported to all other platforms. The Vita version got ported, so all of the new content from Golden is in here, which is nice. And this game only takes up about 11 or 12 gigabytes, which isn't much. So, but this is the kind of game you'd expect to run just fine on here, and it does. You know, it's not going to push the battery too hard either. Yeah, so it's estimating still 3 hours of battery time remaining, which of course can vary wildly depending on what games you play and what settings you use. But as far as I'm aware, like, the ROG Ally has to be connected to a power source to run at the highest possible settings. And it's like, well, then doesn't that kind of defeat the whole purpose? Otherwise, the battery dies pretty quickly if it's not plugged in. So I'm going to go over to, yeah, so this is on high settings, of course. Why wouldn't it be? 1280 by 800. And FPS limit. Here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn those off. Yeah, this game can run at 120 FPS on pretty much anything. It's fine. Yeah, so when you play a game that can actually hit 90 FPS on this 90 hertz screen, I'll tell you, it looks amazing. But this is just it. This is high settings. Didn't have to lower anything. 120 FPS on a Steam Deck. And if I do this, this game also has resolution scaling, or rendering scale, so if I did this at 200%, that's the equivalent to 1440p, correct? Sure. And it's fine. Wow, look at that. It looks even better, and it's still 120 FPS. How about that? Awesome. Yeah, on my computer I can do 4K at 200% and it's fine. It doesn't look any better, but it runs great. So, this is like one of the best platforms to play Persona 4 on, I would say. If you want something portable. So it's kind of ironic because I played this on the Vita. I never played the original on PS2. I played Golden on the Vita and always thought, man, why can't I just play this on a regular console on a TV? And then I bought this when it came out and I barely touched it, and now I basically only play it on Steam Deck. So, I don't know. So there, I've been streaming for about an hour, and now you just have a pretty good idea of what this thing can and cannot do. And these are all games just running natively on the system itself. So, let me see here. I'll try to do one game on remote play just so you can see it. Oh, there's GA. Okay, and now here's a hot take for you that a lot of people disagree with. Yukiko is best girl. I like GA, don't get me wrong, but Yukiko is best girl. Okay? Alright. So now I'm going to go in here. Let me see here. Yep, so Baldur's Gate 3, yeah, you can use remote play on it, but it's a little weird. Oh, hold on, there's one other setting I want to just point out. It's something that I saw online. Let me see here. It might be under remote play settings. Okay, this is, yeah. So right now, resolution limit is limited to what the system can actually do. But basically, there's one of these settings here. It's either hardware decoding or this. One of them, you may want to turn off during remote play because otherwise things are just way too dark. I don't know why it does that. But as you can see here, I'm limiting to 90 and I'm limiting to this because that's what the system's actually capable of. Of course, then again, yeah, hang on, let's go beyond that. Let's do 1440p with a frame rate limit of 120. Okay. Let's do that and just see what happens. This might be a complete disaster, but let's just take a look. I'm going to run Cyberpunk. Let's do this. Okay, now it's telling me it's not available. Why is it telling me it's not available? Hang on. Did I uninstall this without meaning to? No, it's right here. Alright, I don't know. That's weird. Maybe I can't show you remote play. What is going on here? Alright, I don't know, never mind. Let's see. Why is it doing this? Well, okay, but you tell me it's available, but then you tell me it's not available. Which is it? Or did I put the settings too high? Okay. Minor hiccup there, just had to restart Steam on the computer. Yeah, I would say the thing with remote play is you're going to have the exact same issues you'd have trying to remote play anything else, whether it's PS5. You know, remote play is just not really a great technology as of yet. And I don't know if it ever will be. But overall, I think you do get a better experience with the Wi-Fi 6, provided you have the right kind of, you know, router and stuff. One of the reasons I picked this game was for this reason here. Yeah, a lot of games still have this, you know, they have their own splash screen that comes up. And trying to do remote play on those games can just be a real pain in the ass. And sometimes it takes a long time to load. So remote play works as well as you can expect it to. It's remote play. Like, you know. Yeah, so. You can see it. Good. Alright, so the system itself is running at 720p. When all those games that I was playing before, that's 720p on the console, going into a capture card that's capped at 1080p, going to a monitor that's 1440p. So hopefully things don't look terrible, but I'm sure you'll let me know. You know what? I don't think this is working. No, why is it stuck on that screen? Yeah, you can't even see it anyways. All right. Hang on, let me get into the game and then maybe it'll actually show you. No. Okay. Alright, this is why I didn't. You know what? I'm sorry. I tried. I really tried. I'm sorry, but this is why I didn't want to do remote play. Yeah, sorry about that. So, needless to say, remote play does work as well as remote play can possibly work. Alright, so let's just pretend that didn't happen. No remote play. Now, yeah, for non-Steam games that you install through desktop mode, you can add shortcuts to here. So let me just load this up quick. Let me see if this will work. Okay, so yeah, this is Heroic Launcher. So this is how you can play games that are on Epic or GOG.com. I can't say much about compatibility. You just have to test them to find out. But real quick, I'm just going to load up Rogue. What? No, I don't want to. No. All right, I guess I can't show you this either. Let's see if Freedom Planet will work. Oh, Freedom Planet works. Good. And here's a game that'll run just fine on here. Yeah, so there are some hiccups here. So Heroic Launcher will let you play Epic, Amazon, and GOG games. Let's see, now this isn't reading my controller. So here's another thing that's worth showing you, controller settings. Yeah. Oh. Well, there you go. It wants to use mouse and keyboard, apparently. Okay.
How did this happen? Walls are impenetrable.
Oh, let me try this.
If death is what you seek, then I will gladly provide it.
Yeah, okay. It's not recognizing the controller. This does happen sometimes, unfortunately. Alright. But you can clearly see that it works. It's just that sometimes you gotta like map controls. So yeah, here I am going on and on about how all those other devices they suck because they use Windows. It's like, well, this can have its own hiccups too. So anything that you want to run on here, you can get controller loadout. So ever since the Steam controller came out years ago, people have come up with their own templates. You can come up with your own templates. But once you get outside of like native Steam games, it gets dicey. Let me see if it'll let me run this real quick. So let's get into emulation now, just so you can see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can run Wind Waker HD. This is the only Wii U game I have on here. Perfect. Oh, good. Perfect. And this game's, easy to play on here because it was designed so that you do not need the Wii U gamepad. So look, this game runs fine. I think it's capped at 60 to begin with, or maybe you can change the settings. On my computer, I think it's 60, but I think by default it's capped at 30, which is what it originally was. But the point is, you can clearly see that the game works. You can play Wii U games on here if you want to. And why wouldn't you want to? You know, you can emulate pretty much anything on here. And unfortunately, it looks like it's sending the audio out through the built-in speakers. Yeah, I'm not hearing it at all. All right, so you're not going to be hearing any sound right now, but I believe it's coming out through the built-in speakers right now. Okay. Oh, well. Or either that or it's just really, really quiet all of a sudden. No. Okay. So, sometimes you run into audio problems with this emulator. But see, the purpose of this video isn't to brag about how amazing this thing is and convince you to definitely buy one. I'm not trying to do that. The whole purpose of this video is to just play it normally, and then you can see what it does well and what it doesn't, and you could see these kind of glitches, so you kind of just have better expectations going into it if you do decide to buy one. It's a great system. You just have to have some patience, you know. Let me head over to here. Yeah, so you have something called EmuDeck that you can set up, where that'll just install a bunch of emulators and stuff for you, and then it installs this interface here so you can play games, and it still goes through RetroArch, but let's just go right along and just show you. Of course, you can play NES games on here. Why not? So, I got a bunch of games on here. Let's see if this works. There, it's Contra. Hooray! 30 lives cheat worked. I did the Konami code. So look at this. This is fine, right? You can play Contra on your Steam Deck. Who cares about AAA titles? Who cares about new games? No, you can play all the classics on here. That's what matters. A very affordable device for emulation. I did see a video of the newest Aya Neo device. Some dude paid $1,500 or $2,000, some ridiculous amount of money for it, and spends the whole video just doing emulation. I'm like, dude, you can emulate old NES and Genesis games on like an old Android phone or tablet. Like, now obviously that's not the only thing the guy bought it for, but I'm just like, why are you showing us all these emulation things on this thing? Like, why'd you pay $1,500 and now you're showing us NES and Genesis games? Like, what? Like, why would you do that? See, at least I showed you the newer games first. And you can get this 512 gigabyte OLED model for, you know, like $580 with tax. Like out 580 out the door, I want to say. I think that's what I paid for it. So if you don't have a Steam Deck, definitely get this model. Don't get the original model. There's no reason to do that. Unless you can get it, you know, at a steep discount, of course. And it is possible to break the thing open and install your own hard drive. So look, so this is Contra running on here. Like, now I think it automatically turned on some kind of CRT filter or scan lines, but that's fine. So there, it runs NES games because of course it does. I'm just going to pick one game from each system just so you can see it. One of my favorite games, Donkey Kong Country 2. And I guess whatever ROM I got years ago has that extra cheat feature in it. Actually, hang on. Let me, oh, okay, yeah, let me see here. Yeah, and so here, you go in here and you tell it which emulator you want it to use. Okay, and then if you turn on anti-aliasing, it's probably going to screw up the frame rate. I think when you turn this on, it hurts your frame rate, maybe. Yeah. Only thing is that this doesn't let you change to like a 16:9 like stretch format. And when you back out of a game, it just ends and then you got to restart it. So, but this is just one thing you can do. You know, emulation station. You have RetroArch. This goes through RetroArch anyways in some instances. So you can also just run games through individual emulators, which you're probably better off doing. As for RetroArch, you can just install the regular Steam version, or you can go over to desktop mode and install the Linux version. That'll give you better like compatibility, probably the latter. If you get you know, there's certain cores that are only available in that version. Is what I'm trying to say. Oh, this game fucking rocks, even though it's brutally difficult. I did finally beat it, like, last year, I think. There we go. And then, yeah. Screw you, Diddy. Nobody likes you anymore. Dixie's the best girl now. Dixie is best girl, yeah. In this series, anyways. Alright, so there you go. There's Donkey Kong Country 2. Got a couple Wii games I can play, although mapping motion controls is a nightmare. I got that game there. Of course, you can play Genesis. But if you want to play Genesis, you may be better off just doing the Genesis Mega Drive Classics through Steam. I can play PlayStation, I can play Neo Geo, it's all here. Let's see. Doesn't really matter which one of these I play. And one thing I get frustrated with, though, is I always try to send my save states and stuff from the computer to other devices that have RetroArch, and it's never able to read the files. I guess I'm just not doing it right. Well, let's go Parodius. Why not? Let's see if it launches this. The only thing is that when you have them in like bin and queue format, it doesn't always distinguish between the two files. Oh, but it's working. I mean, who doesn't like Parodius, man? These games are fun as hell. Oh, this is a Japanese game. I can't read any of this. Okay. Vic Viper, that's the vehicle from Gradius. So Parodius is a parody of Gradius. I covered the Saturn Parodius ports in a previous Sega video. I did Sega September, if you recall, if you've been following the channel at all. Love me some Parodius. Yes, this is Sexy Parodius on PS1. Very sexy. Cool. Love me some shoot 'em ups. Ooh! Oh, now I'm huge and I can just run into people. Yeah. Alright. There you go. That's PlayStation. Yeah, I got some PS2 games on here. Got some TurboGrafx, N64. So basically, any console you see here, I can verify that they're all playable. Yeah, let me load this up real quick. So you may have seen my video where I complained about F-Zero 99, and it's because I think that this F-Zero game is freaking amazing, one of the best racing games ever, and it's just such a shame that Nintendo hasn't kept up with that series as well as they should. I didn't want some weird online-only Battle Royale type racing game. I wanted a real sequel. But honestly, like, this is still just such a great looking game, especially on Dolphin on a PC. They could easily port this over to Switch. They wouldn't even have to do anything. Just a little bit of anti-aliasing and texture filtering, and they'd be fine. So I'm not good at this game, so let's see. I'm gonna be Green Dude. Why not? And then look at all the extra like drivers and vehicles you can unlock. You know, like this game has meaningful unlockable content, not just cosmetic junk. So, all right. I don't know. I want higher max speed. Let's do that. Yeah, I got a lot of weirdos in this game, huh? Captain Falcon, show your moves. Yeah, so this is default settings. I didn't increase any settings, but you can see this is 60 frames per second on Steam Deck. And of course, I'm not good at this game or anything. I haven't played it in a long time. Back in the day, I fully demolished this game and unlocked everything. Now, unfortunately, the way the buttons are mapped is the boost is on the top button, which is hard to reach when you're holding the bottom button to accelerate. But this is great, isn't it? You can play F-Zero GX on Steam Deck at 60 frames per second. This is awesome. Love it. So I may do another much shorter video where I just film it on my iPhone and just show you, like, you know, what the screen looks like, and then maybe give Remote Play another shot. Yeah, I suck at this game. Oh, I'm terrible. Alright. Alright. Let's back out of that game. Yeah, and then you go back to here. Yeah, but then I've got the Steam version of RetroArch on here. So RetroArch comes up as untested, I believe. Yeah, it's right here. It's untested, and that's because, like, how can you possibly test it with all the different cores and settings and ROMs? It's not really testable. Where did I put those ROMs? Oh, alright. Okay, there's a bunch of ROMs in here. Okay, but I think I already scanned. So yeah, I'm just going to try to run a couple things through RetroArch. Okay. And of course it's going to be 60 hertz because of my whole setup here. And then this is what I like about RetroArch. You can just go in here and set the aspect ratio to whatever you want to match your system, and then it'll stretch it accordingly. So I prefer the stretch over having, you know, margins on the sides. So let's see here. You can play Saturn games on here. It can be tricky to get them to work. Yeah, let me load up layer section because I think I got this to work before. Yeah. I don't know what core I'm using. It's probably, there's only 3 that it could be. It's either Beetle Saturn, Yaba Sanshiro, or the other one. Let me just see here. Oh yeah, well this game, you know what? This game is just presented in 4x3 anyways, I think, right? Yeah, this game rocks. But this is proof that you can play Saturn games on Steam Deck. That's all. Saturn is notoriously difficult to emulate, but here we go. Love me some Saturn shoot 'em ups, let me tell you. See, what sucks about Saturn games is that getting the English versions of these games, the North American versions, are insanely expensive and hard to find. The good news is that you have games like Layer Section, that, you know, you have shoot 'em ups, you have fighting games where you don't need to be able to read Japanese to enjoy it. And you can get a Japanese copy for, you know, 10, 20 bucks sometimes. So at one point I was collecting Japanese Saturn games, and I was getting them like dirt cheap on eBay. And then of course I was able to just rip the CDs to the hard drive. So that's Layer Section. Yeah, here's my gameplay history here. Yeah, there's some cool stuff in here. Oh, can I get Legend of Oasis to work? I think so. Beetle Saturn, it just said it. Okay. So it's saying I still have like 3 hours of battery life. So I've been streaming for an hour and a half. And you can see the battery's starting to get low, but you get pretty decent battery life out of this thing, let me tell you. See, it won't let me continue even though I transferred the files over. I swear I transferred them over. So the best way to get your ROMs from your computer onto the Steam Deck, what I found, I couldn't get the Steam Deck to read any of my micro SD cards or USB drives using it, or you know, through the port on top, I wasn't able to get it to read anything through the USB port. But there's 2 ways to get your ROMs on here. One way is to install Linux onto a micro SD card and stick it into the SD card slot on here, and then copy the files over to the internal hard drive. The other way is, like on a Windows system, you can just set up a shared folder that you can access over the network. So, yeah, so you can play Saturn games on here. It's great. And look how colorful it looks. This is wonderful. I love this game. Beyond Oasis is one of my favorite Genesis games. I might want to try to speedrun it in the future. We'll see. Okay, there you go. So just wanted to prove to you that you can play Saturn on here, and yeah, you can use RetroArch or whatever you want. You can play Game Boy Advance on here. You can play GameCube. You can play Wii. You can play Wii U. You can play Super Nintendo. It's all here. Alright, now sometimes... Yeah, sometimes it has issues with PS2 games. Those you probably want to just run through their own emulator. But so this is the version of RetroArch that you can just download right through Steam. And then if you go into the desktop mode, you can copy BIOS files and stuff right into the respective folders. So that's fine. But really, if you want to play Sega games, this is a good option. If you bought all the classics like I did through Steam, then You can just run them through here. And if you go into the Steam Workshop, there's a bunch of ROM hacks and stuff and other games you can download through there. So again, what's really great about the Steam Deck is you've got this specialized Steam OS version running on here. You turn it on, you go into game mode, you never have to mess around with a mouse and keyboard or a desktop or anything. You're not trying to wrestle with Windows to get it to do things. You can go into desktop mode to do some interesting stuff, to install additional things, but you never have to. So I have all the games already that I bought, but then through the workshop there's some additional stuff you can get. King Colossus, that's an interesting Japanese JRPG that you can play. Altered Beast sucks, but there's some other games installed under there. Yeah, so if you go into Streets of Rage 2, a lot of mods are for that, and there's alternate versions with other characters. But this is where you're gonna. There's a lot of stuff you can get on the Steam Workshop if you just browse through there. And what I like about this version is that it has additional filters and stuff that you can do. So, what am I gonna run here? Somebody mentioned Ristar on the Discord server that I'm on the other day. So let's load up Ristar. This is a great game. Perfect, right? So I'm just going to go down here because you have input options, you have emulator settings. So I have it on this filter right now, and I have it stretched full screen. Okay, that's what I was just checking for. So I really like to just play Genesis games through here. This is an excellent platformer that everybody should play. But look at this. This is running fine, see? I think it's only 720p, but the original game was obviously rendered at a lower resolution. And even if you try to play this on like the Genesis mini consoles, those are still 720p anyways, so you're not missing out on anything here. As far as I'm aware, the stream hasn't disconnected or anything. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Yeah. So. Yeah, this game's great. And this is the kind of game that will look great on that OLED screen, of course, with those very vibrant colors. And like I said, I adjusted my OBS settings to get it to look as close to the actual OLED screen as I could. But you can adjust those settings too. You can just use a regular sRGB color palette if you want. You don't have to use the more vivid colors if you don't want to. Yeah. And then it supports HDR, but you can turn it off if you want. Obviously, it's not going to work with every game. Yeah. I think this is one of the better platformers from this time period, to be honest with you. Or maybe that's just nostalgia talking, I don't know. Yeah, see, that's an easy mini-boss there. So then you just hold the select button, or whatever they're calling it now, the screenshot button on this controller here. So, yeah, these games all work. And if I go here, I can play some other games. Oh yeah, so you can play Earthworm Jim on here if you want to do. Truxton! I always accidentally use a bomb at the start because I always forget what button to press to shoot. There you go. You can play Truxton on the deck OLED. It's great. And I'm just so happy that Classic Game Room is back. That show's great. Everybody should play Truxton. So, there you go. One of the many ways you can play Truxton. And then you can play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. These are just the original ROMs. Yeah, this ROM actually, you can't even buy this anymore. Oh, see, now that's... Hold on. Hold on a second. That is a real missed opportunity right there, isn't it? Where's the lock-on technology? Why is it just one cartridge? Come on. I want to see the tower, damn it. Yeah, I actually haven't played it that much on this system anyways. I played this pretty thoroughly on the hacked Genesis mini console that I have, and I played it. I played the Sonic Origins version of the game. Yeah. The other thing is that this game can look a little weird, and sometimes this game doesn't have the best frame rate. Although maybe it's just part of the emulation, anyways. So in my opinion, the best way to play the early Sonic games is through the Origins collection, even though they changed some stuff. So, yeah. And then, I mean, if you turn on this filter here, this just makes the game look really weird. See? It's like there's too much filtering there. So no filtering. We'll turn on the scan lines, and then I'll just do regular full screen mode here. Yeah, alright. Oh, that's fine, right? That looks pretty cool, actually. Now, alright, so there you go. Steam Deck does what Switch don't. Lets you play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Alright. Battery's getting low. So before I go, just one last thing I want to show you. Just gonna head on over to desktop mode just so you can take a look at that and see what I've been talking about this whole time. So yeah, so this has been my review of Steam Deck, and it's a great system. I think it's worth every penny. It's cheaper than the other alternatives, and it's been on the market longer. It's gotten more firmware updates. It's got good compatibility with a decent number of Steam titles. But again, if you're not a Steam user, then it may not be the best option for you. If you want to play all of your games through Epic Game Store or Windows Store, you're going to want a Windows-based handheld, I would think. And there are more expensive options that allow that, and that also can kind of have better settings and stuff. So that might be something worth looking into. If you don't, if you're just getting into PC gaming now, this is a good starting point. Steam constantly has sales going on, so you can buy games. Unfortunately, all the big holiday sales are over now, but never pay full price for a game on Steam, let me tell you that. They just do so many sales every year, plus midweek madness, weekend deals, all that. But you see, this looks very similar to just a pretty standard Windows desktop here. It's Linux, but it kind of looks like Windows, doesn't it? You go to your download center here, And okay, well, that's it. The only thing is that when you try to do what I'm doing right now, like with the capture card, then you end up with um, it automatically does this like kind of dual screen thing. But you go into here and it's like, oh, I haven't installed any updates in a while, but you know, you go through here, like you're better off just downloading any emulators you want straight through here, I would say. And then you can just add the thing. So there's a thing you can get called EmuDeck. You can see the icon up there. What EmuDeck does is it just kind of manages a lot of these emulators and stuff for you. But another game you can install through here is you can get Space Cadet Pinball. Remember that from Windows? And then Chiaki is what you would use to remote play from PS5. Actually, let me see if I can get that to work. Oh, crap, I just showed you my address. Oh, well. Yes. Oh, well. You didn't see that. Alright, and I'm having a real hard time with this fucking thing right now. Hang on. Alright, so, yeah, just trying to navigate this. Ugh. Hang on. Why is this not working? Oh, because it wants me to go this way. Thank you. What is this doing? Wow, this sucks. Sorry. Hang on. Alright, let me see here. Configure display settings. Yeah. I don't want dual monitor set up here. Yeah, I don't want two of them. Why are you doing this? So, well, there you go. Just a lot of hiccups, unfortunately, just trying to, you know, do all this crap. That should be the primary, and this I don't want. Apply. What happens when I hit apply? Is it going to screw everything up? Nope. Did exactly what I wanted it to do. Wow, how about that? Sorry, I should have just done that to begin with. Alright. Yeah, and a 192 address is an internal IP address. You won't be able to do anything with it anyways. And I can change it through the router. So here you go. Alright. This is PS5 Remote Play. It does work. I swear it works. I probably should have just done this from the game mode, but yeah, you can still launch stuff through here. Oops. You can still launch and play things through desktop mode, but you don't always get good controller support when you do it that way. So for some reason, the start button has now been mapped to, or the home button has been mapped to the start button, which is weird. All right. Yeah, now this is connected to my TV, which can do 120 hertz at 4K and all that. So, but through remote play, I think you're capped at 1080p, 60 FPS, regardless. So, here we go. You can play. Oops. Why? Why? Why are you doing this to me? Right. Oh, you know why? Because the mouse is mapped to the right stick. Alright. So here we go. You can play PS5 on here, I swear. I swear you can play PS5 games on here. Alright. Yeah, so I just want to emphasize the fact that a lot of the technical issues that you've seen are a result of me trying to output to a capture card and a monitor and all that, and trying to navigate through the desktop using the touchpad on a PS5 controller. So there you go. So EmuDeck is what you would want if you don't really know how to set up emulators and stuff. Yeah, so anyways, let's just go back to game mode where it's safe and these types of things don't happen. I also did find a program that you can remote play from Xbox with. I'm told that this can do Switch emulation, but I've never gotten into Switch emulation. I just play Switch games on the Switch. So. Ah, what? Yeah, see, look, I got this wire plugged in here. You can get a dock for the deck. You can get a deck dock if you want to output it to like TV or something, but keep in mind that's not going to increase its capabilities. You can try to run games at a higher resolution, but it's the same hardware. When you see how poorly some games run at 720, you're not going to want to try to push it up to 4K or something. It just depends on the game, I suppose. But you're going to get the best experience when you just run these deck verified games directly from the hard drive. And your verified and playable games. The playable games are fine. Sometimes you might have to bring up an on-screen keyboard to type in text and stuff, but that's totally fine. Yeah, you can play Disgaea 2 PC on here. You can play plenty of games. That's fine. Actually, I was just talking about Crosscode the other day. Let me load that up quick. So this is a game that... So it'll tell you right here, right? If it's playable, they'll say... Right, so all they're saying here is you may have to use the touch screen or bring up the on-screen keyboard. Big deal. So in a case where a game is not fully verified or not supported, it will usually provide a reason behind it. So that's something to keep in mind. And let's see here. Yeah, so if I do all games, right? Oh, okay. Remnant 2 is installed on here. It just wasn't showing it because I didn't have the filter set up properly. It's been here the whole time. Okay, so this is the last game I'm going to show you, and then I'm done. And hopefully this was helpful to you. You know, I know it's been 2 hours. You're probably not going to watch the whole thing, but at least if you stuck with me through the whole thing, then you'll know if you want this or not. I have not tried to play it in direct sunlight, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. The more expensive models have the etched glass, which I guess is slightly better for outdoor glare and stuff, but I don't recommend that. So I'll show you exactly why this is classified as not supported. Yeah. This is why it's classified as not supported, because it looks terrible and yet still struggles to maintain 30 frames per second. Like, you will not get 60 frames per second in this game. You will not. And this is with the Intel XeSS thing. I find that the Intel XeSS actually runs a little better than FSR and looks a little better too, even though it's not even like an Intel device. But this is medium settings right now. So, potato. Oh wow, let's try the potato setting. A few games have an actual Steam Deck preset, like Cyberpunk, but that doesn't automatically mean it'll run good. So, if we do a balanced upscaler setting on potato settings, what do we get? We get something that looks god-awful and 40 frames per second, though. It's not terrible. So the game is playable. I assure you, it is a playable game. Oh, and it thinks I'm using an Xbox controller. Oh, well. So here you go. Yeah, a friend of mine helped me kill that stupid cube boss. Yeah, but look, it's the second I aim my gun and start shooting, it drops a couple frames and... Yeah, this is a tough game, though. Now, lightning is super effective against rock types. Since when? Alright, cool. So there you go. That's... yeah. It is playable, but... maybe get it on a different platform, or maybe play it on your PC. So yeah, do not buy a Steam Deck just to play this game. Absolutely not. Do not do that. And this is another game I did not cover as part of my holiday buying guide. What I'm going to say about this game is it is a lot of fun with friends. Right? A lot of fun with friends, but playing by myself, I find that I'm constantly dying. You know, this game has similarities to Borderlands and Destiny. And just like those games, it's not really meant to be played single player. It's allowed, but it's not really, like, recommended. So when you have other players who can revive you and help you with bosses and stuff, it's great. Playing by yourself, it can be a very, very difficult game. And the reason I play this class is because the dog can revive you. And then there's another class that can self-revive. So, yeah, there are two classes that are definitely better suited for single player. But this is a neat game. If you're into this type of game, it can get a little repetitive. It can get difficult. You can re-roll your world, and there are some procedurally generated kind of things going on here. There is a DLC pack that I didn't buy yet because I didn't complete the main game. Some of these boss fights are just brutal. So I would give this game a 7 out of 10, probably. And now I'm not going to do a separate video for this game. I don't feel the need. I'm just covering it now, basically. This is my short little 5-minute review of this game. Like, runs fine on a high-end computer. Console versions are probably fine, but you do not want to play this game on Steam Deck, let me tell you. You do not. So, there you have it. Yeah, I've played 11 hours of it, mostly with friends. So, but I think you can do up to either 3 or 4 player co-op, which is good. Yeah, I can confirm that every game you see in this list, all 76 games that I currently have installed, I can tell you that they're all playable. Now, like Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is considered not supported, but I got it to work. Persona 5 Strikers is playable. You might have to get a special version of Proton, which you'd have to go over to desktop mode to do. But if you look over here at Game Info, unsupported because graphics settings cannot be configured to run well on Steam Deck. Translation, you will not get 60 frames per second. So there you have it. That is my full in-depth Steam Deck review and with some benchmarks. And there are just some really great indie games that you can play on here that don't take up too much space. Like if I run Axiom Verge real quick on totally uncapped frame rate, no VSync, it's crazy. It's running at hundreds of frames per second. It's only rendered at, 60 or whatever, but this is a game that definitely benefits from the higher refresh rate. This game will run at 90 frames per second on the unit itself, or on a compatible screen. And the official deck dock from Valve is kind of expensive, but it does support variable refresh rate. It's HDR2, not 2.1, but this thing can't run anything on 4K anyways, so at 1440p you'll still get 120 hertz. Oh yeah, so this is, spoilers, this is the end game. I think I went back just to get some more items and stuff, but so yeah, look at that frame rate. 1,000 frames per second. Not that you can tell. Not that it matters. Because it's only animated at 60, I believe. I love this game. So Axiom Verge 1 is very much a Metroid clone in the best possible way. Axiom Verge 2 tried to go more to the Vania end of the spectrum, so you have like a melee weapon, and then you have optional bosses, and it's like, I didn't like 2 as much, let's just say that. It's not a bad game. Oh, secret. Yay. And this one has like excellent music. There's one song that has like weird female vocals. And unfortunately, in the second game, they decided to bring her back to do like 3 or 4 more songs, and it's just like, why? This one had the better music, hands down. Didn't have weird stuff going on. I just love how glitching is just built into the game. You can pretty much glitch any enemy in the game if you get the maxed out, glitch thing. So this game just looks and runs phenomenally. So these are the kind of games where Deck is really going to shine. So there you go. So the goal here was to play a variety of titles, and now you can see how they all run. So there we go. This is the end of the stream, I swear. I briefly got the PS5 Remote Play to work. Even though it kind of glitched. Yep, there you go. That's it. To anybody who tuned in, thanks for watching, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. The battery's down to like 20% now. Okay. No, so I've been streaming for 2 hours, and it's still not dead. It's close. All right. So thanks for tuning in, and see you later.